Hey, hello, leaders. This is Paul Grau Jr., and welcome back to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So today, I want to talk about something that I heard the other day. And actually, I saw something on, I think it was Instagram, from Bob Goff. Now, if you don't know who Bob Goff is, he's an author. He used to be a lawyer, and then basically he stopped being a lawyer to become an author. And he's got a whole story behind there. I've seen him actually at church events, and he is just a great guy. I read his first book, or well, I don't know if it was his first book, but the first book I read that he authored was called Love Does. And it was really a cool book. And I really enjoyed the book. And he's quite a character, man. He's always smiling. He's always, positive. And the other day this Instagram thing, he had like this little, this Pop Goes the Weasel box. Have you ever seen that where, you wind a thing and it goes, and then it pop goes the weasel, and this little door opens up in the box and this surprise comes out, whether it's a clown or a weasel or whatever. I've never seen a weasel come out of one. But anyway, he was talking about this and he used this as a demonstration, and he made the comment. He said, we are always in anticipation mode. He said, life is constant anticipation. But he went on, and this was the quote. He said, anticipation keeps us leaning forward into what's going to happen next. Let me read that again. Anticipation keeps us leaning forward into what's going to happen next. Now, I thought about that long and hard, and, I knew the way he talked about it, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And I thought about it, and a couple of things he said this quote, but I thought about it. Okay. I said, I know this applies, and I know this can apply to leadership, especially high performing leaders, because high performing leaders are always anticipating what's next. They're never really just chill that everything's done. They're always anticipating next steps and what's coming. And, a lot of times things don't turn out the way we expect them to. And sometimes they're better. Sometimes things turn out better. But I think when we anticipate the outcome of things, it's more of a response type thinking. And we could anticipate the process. And when we're anticipating the process, I think we can always anticipate the process and how innovation can make it better. I think we can anticipate feedback from our people. I think we can anticipate how things are going to go when we're having major change. And I think when we start anticipating, like I said earlier, the responses, when we anticipate responses from people to major change, well, that can allow us to be prepared and be a little bit more ready to answer some of these anticipated responses that we're thinking about. So I don't know. I really wanted to get a lot out of this. And, if you kind of have a different belief in what this quote, anticipation keeps us leaning forward into what's going to happen next. I think it speaks for itself, but at the same time, I think it really applies to high performing leaders, or I believe it does, because high performing leaders are always anticipating what's next, what's going to happen next. They're never really finished per se. The job might be completed, but the anticipation of what's next prepares us for what's coming next. And it puts us in that state of readiness. And I think that's what the difference, high-performing leaders and just regular leaders, they're ready because they're already anticipating the next steps. So I think that has a tendency to wear off on our people too, because they see that we're prepared and ready and that we're anticipating something else coming, the next step. And I think that in turn allows them to have that mindset within the team. So that's it for today. I hope that kind of makes sense to you. I hope that you get something from that. But today, just think about how often you anticipate what's happening next. Because like Bob says, it keeps us leaning forward. It doesn't allow us to just slouch back in our chair and just relax and say, hey, we're done. Because we're always anticipating something next. So we live in that constant state of anticipation as a high-performing leader. Hey, hope you have a great rest of your day. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges. We'll see you.